This is SGT with a breaking update. We wanted to get Bix Weir back on the line. And first of all, I want to address the fact that Bix and I have spoken, and I did ask him most, if not all, of your questions, and that interview is coming soon. Bix, welcome back.
Thanks, Sean. Good to be here.
You and I talked for over an hour recently asking all of those great questions that people submitted, and that is coming. But I did want to get you on because it seems like the world is melting down. And I mean that really literally, not figuratively. I want to read this real quickly from our buddies, the Silver Doctors. Quote, "We have bank runs in Greece, 26 downgrades of Italian banks, Spain and Portugal ready to go into the toilet, and J.P. Morgan getting the enema of its life in its interest rate swaps. So where do gold and silver head? Lower, of course." Bix, what do you make of this? We're really seeing things melt down.
Yeah, this is it. This is what the end game looks like. As bad as it looks on the surface, it's 100 times worse behind the scenes. So yes, the J.P. Morgan derivative book is blowing up. All this came out of the London office where they're doing all their derivatives, $70 trillion in derivatives. And our little friend Blythe Masters, who came on the news about a month ago to say, the silver book is balanced. It was a really weird interview. It was staged. Everybody was saying, what is going on? Why is she coming on now? Well, this could possibly be the derivative blow up of their silver book, as in people demanding delivery, JP Morgan slamming the price down of silver with the COMEX paper contracts to try to get the price lower so that they don't have to take too many hits when they take delivery of physical. Now, there's a couple things pointing towards that, and one is the backwardization of gold and silver right now, and that the current month is more expensive to buy than the future months, which is kind of backwards from what the COMEX is usually like. So that's kind of a hint that there's a real physical squeeze going on right now, and literally from like 2 days before Jamie Dimon came on the news to say, we got a $2 billion hit and a problem with our derivative book, the price of silver started to drop below $30. And I've always said that the end game is going to come at below $30 silver, because that's where all the real battles are going on. So JP Morgan's throwing all the paper at the price of silver to get the price lower so that they can buy physical silver to cover these. A lot of people saying they're getting margin calls. There's something going on in the physical market. So it really is. I believe it's the last time you can get out there and get your physical.
Well, I think they're circling the wagons, too. I posted on SGT Report a piece from CNBC this morning where they were interviewing the Home Depot founder and JPM shareholder Ken Langone, and Ken was really rallying around his buddy Jamie Dimon, and he said, quote, "Jamie was on the board of Yum Brands with me for a number of years. That's where I got to know him well. He's an incredible human being. I'm not just talking about his talent. I'm talking about his character, integrity, candor, honesty, everything. He does it right." Look, we're talking about the company with the largest derivatives book on the face of the planet in the process of melting down. And Langone is saying that $2 billion is, quote, a joke. It's nothing, end quote. So they're really trying to soft pedal this thing as this house of cards begins to fall, aren't they?
I did see that interview, and it's sickening to watch these guys go on TV to spout off about their case, how bankers are such upstanding citizens after all we've been through, and we've proven that they're evil and they are completely going against everything that a free market stands for. There's no transparency. What Jamie Dimon said in his announcement last Thursday was a lie as well. There is massively more than $2 billion of hits, and he knows it. That's why he said, well, there might be some more. Well, you leave a little thing dangling out there that there might be some more. That means he knows already that there is some more. And there is word coming that he knew months ago that these hits were already happening, and he could end up in jail for that because they are material changes. They should have announced it. Any material change of significant size, which this would be, should have been announced at the time they understood that it happened. He signed all his 10Q and all his documents for the government, and basically he lied. So he could be in a serious heap of trouble here. Of course, it all depends on if the regulators are going to stand up and actually enforce their own rules.
Well, yeah, and that bridges us back to this concept of fascism, and the government is in bed with these corporations, and essentially J.P. Morgan being a primary dealer for the Fed. I mean, it is the government. So, and as Jim Sinclair noted today, this virtually guarantees QE to infinity because of the relationship between the Fed and J.P. Morgan.
And it's true, but that's really the interesting thing is that, $2 billion is nothing gigantic to J.P. Morgan. It's the fact that he had to come out in the middle of a quarter and tell everybody about it. Somebody is forcing him to do that. And the only power that can force him to do that would be the government. If the government is turning on him and no longer can he do whatever he wants, if the government is saying, all right, this game is over, we're going to bring it all to an end, and told him, you go out there and you tell the public exactly where you are right now, or we're going to bring you down and bring the whole company down.
Okay, now one of the reasons I wanted to get on this, essentially a quick emergency call with you, Bix, too, was just to help level set for people because we're seeing silver bulls get annihilated, same with gold bulls. It's important to keep perspective here, and the reason I say that is because I think it could get a whole lot worse. Now, it wasn't long ago that 25 had major support, and Eric King's European source said that the Chinese, the Asians, were massive buyers in the $25.50, $25, $26 range on silver, and that marked a huge floor. He was proven right. I personally feel, based on what we're seeing, based on the size of this meltdown, and based on the amount of paper that J.P. Morgan can endlessly throw at this thing, it could break 25. It could go far lower. And you've even said, Bix, that this thing could go down to $5. It could go to zero in terms of paper price.
You hit the nail on the head when you said the paper situation. Nobody's selling their physical silver. Nobody who subscribes to my stuff, I haven't heard of anybody saying, oh my God, the price is dropping, I'm going to sell my physical silver. That is not happening. What is happening is the computers are kicking in and driving the price down, selling back and forth to each other, volumes are increasing. They can computer rig this thing to zero and shut down the market. And if that's what they want to do, I'd say let them do it. Keep piling up your physical silver. Stay out of the system. That's the key. You need to be out of their system. They can do anything they want on the COMEX. They can change the rules at the blink of an eye. They can MF Global you if they want. But if you stay out of their system, if you remove your metal from their paws, you can write out anything. And that's what I've been recommending for 5 years now. Stay out of the system and write it out, because in the end, it will end. Who knows where it's going to end? It might end at $1 million an ounce silver, and it might end at zero, but the end will be the end of this COMEX fraud that goes on a daily basis.
Okay, and before we let you go, let's just touch on this because it's a real psychological mind bender. Okay, I touched on this briefly yesterday in my article. What they are doing is they are effectively making us all feel like precious metals is the most volatile place to be, and that they really don't have any value because the powers that be are going to make us, they could take it to zero. So they're effectively making us all feel like we're holding something that isn't precious, that isn't valuable. And so the psychological mind bender is that in the event that they took it down to 10 or 5 or the system collapsed and it went to zero, you truly are holding wealth outside of this system that they can never actually take away. Am I making sense?
Yes, it is mostly for the psychological feeling, but also, they're trying to knock out people's stops on the COMEX and get the price down lower and lower until they've, cleared all the weak hands out. And then you're going to see silver jump back up to, until they start, shorting it again at some price that they set beforehand. The key, though, is right now we're not getting any new silver people because the price is going down. You're hearing from your friends, see, I told you so, the price, it was a bubble, These are the same people when the price was going up around $40, $50, who said, I wish I had gotten in when it was 30. Well, now it's below 30, and they're saying, you were wrong all along, and the price is going down. They're never going to get in anyway until it's over, and they will be shut out of the market. Like you said in your article that you posted, you will probably end up with, once this thing blows, whatever you have in your pocket as far as silver is probably the amount of silver you'll end up with for the rest of your life, because no one is going to sell silver if there's no other, if the currency markets blow, if their savings account and 401ks, they won't sell at any price because they'll know at that point in time that silver is their future. It is their financial future, and they did a good job by getting out of the market and sitting on the sidelines with their little pile of coins.
I mentioned in that article that the amount of silver that you have right now should go up based on the fact that as long as these criminal powers still run the system and the system is still operating, you can transfer your fiat into physical all day long. But that day will end, and at that point, the physical you have in your possession is all you may ever have.
And that's true. I love that line, and I send it out to all my subscribers. But also, I wouldn't say ever, because I do think we'll return to a gold and silver-based monetary system in the United States. So, if you do a lot of hard work, you'll get some silver, and then you'll be able to, pay for your groceries and things like that. It's a transition. Who knows how long this transition will take. But where we are right now is the brink of the collapse of the old system that everybody knew would collapse one day. They just didn't know one day was, in 2012.
Well, maybe you did. Now, I just want to refresh everybody's memory. You had kind of predicted that this collapse was going to start in March. You can point to some signs to say that is when the house of cards began to fall. But, here we are sitting in May, and it's getting painful, and it's getting ugly. And I guess this is what a collapse looks and feels like.
Yeah, we're living through it, and we'll be able to tell our kids one day that we lived through the largest collapse and the largest transfer of wealth in the history of the world.
People are scared. Any words of wisdom for folks before we let you go?
Just try to remember that the true fair market value of silver is not $27. It's not $20. It's not $50. Nobody knows the true fair market value. You see the market rigging. It's been going on since the 70s. Just remember that nobody knows today what silver is worth in terms of U.S. dollar, in terms of goods and services. It's all going to have to be revalued and reallocated after this crash.
Very good. I just want to let everybody know that you and I did spend a lot of time talking through all of those questions that people asked. You did a great job hitting all of them, even the hardest ones, and I'm going to work real hard to try to get that piece done and posted in the very near future. So, Bix Weir, thanks for joining us. We appreciate the update.
Thanks, Sean. Take care out there.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks, Bix.
Thanks for tuning in, and visit sgtreport.com for all the latest. Good night.